You guys want to see something cool? It's not that big of a deal, really, but this is Tekking's marvelous, splendiferous teleportation powers. Observe. Yeah, see? Wasn't that cool? I was sitting over there, but then I ended up over here. Yeah, cool, right? Then I was over there, and now I'm over here. How does he do this? Hold on, one more. No, wait! Okay, so maybe we don't do the teleportation abilities anymore. That's a power I have, but I can no longer use it under fear of doing a weird belly flop onto my bed. Are you doing okay, Barry? Okay, we're good. Okay. So, this video is going to be about teleportation and warping and parallel dimension pocket universe fruits. That should be fun, right? So earlier this week, I made a video about the fourth category of devil fruit, right? And in the video, I said this. So we really haven't gotten devil fruits that do that yet in the story. Like, you eat the devil fruit and you're able to just warp around the world wherever you want instantaneously. We haven't gotten that yet. Okay, so that wasn't technically true, but it wasn't technically wrong either. It really depends on the angle you want to look at this, okay? Because when I said that there are no fruits that give you the ability of teleportation, what I was immediately thinking was, like, there's no devil fruit ability that gives you, like, instant transmission from, like, Dragon Ball. Or, like, the Kai Kai technique that the Supreme Kai can do, just like Kai Kai, warp, and then you can go anywhere in the world, anywhere in the universe you want, like, in the blink of an eye. Or maybe like Jumper, the hit movie from 2008. You guys all remember the movie Jumper, right? That was a box office sensation when it came out. People couldn't stop talking about the movie Jumper. It's like that, though. That kind of teleportation, where you can kind of go anywhere you want in the world. There's no fruit that can really do that. But there are other fruits that do give you kind of a limited kind of teleportation, or teleportation in a set area or zone. So there's actually more than I originally assumed. There were people that were like, hey, what about Kuma? What about, hey, Matt, Law is a thing. I'm like, yes, I know Law is a thing, but there are some other characters too that have devil fruit abilities kind of similar to that. So today we're going to look at a few people that have teleportation fruits, or high-speed movement fruits, or fruits that allow you to create some kind of pocket dimension. On top of teleportation abilities, I'm also a fan of pocket dimension abilities. Abilities where you can kind of create your own little space. I use Nove as an example of that from Hunter x Hunter, who has the hide and seek ability. His Nen power that allows him to create like a literal apartment building out of Nen that's like all grid lined, like out of a video game from like the 1970s or whatever, and has like all these rooms in it, and he can come and go in there when he pleases, and I love that ability. What's funny is I don't think we see the ability hide and seek used the way it's supposed to originally been used in Hunter x Hunter. Because with a name like hide and seek, you think Nove would like drag an enemy into his apartment building complex, and then like they would run around the building, and you know, Nove would be playing hide and seek with them, right? But that's not the way it's actually used in the series. It's used there to, like, you know, make a mobile base of operations whenever you need it, or like a rest point to, you know, rest in enemy territory, which makes a lot more sense too. But whatever. We're not here to talk about Hunter x Hunter. We're talking about One Piece. So let's get started. Let's talk about the two characters that were probably brought up the most, and that is Kuma and Blueno. All right, let's talk about Kuma first, okay? Because this one's pretty easy. Kuma's ability, the Paw fruit, is it teleportation? Well, I would argue that in close range, it is. He can teleport himself kind of around the battlefield in the immediate area very quickly, to the point where if it's not straight up warping, it is so damn fast, it might as well be, okay? But even though he's able to use this ability to send people and himself to anywhere in the world, basically, from what we understand with his ability, that is not instantaneous. That is just high-speed travel, okay? He sent Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hats scattered to the winds to all the various sections of the Grand Line. Robin got sent to the East Blue, Chopper got sent to the South Blue, Luffy ended up in Amazon Lily, of course, and it's stated that it takes 3 days and 3 nights for you to arrive at this destination. Now, I don't know if that means like 3 days and 3 nights no matter what. So, for example, like if I was going to be, you know, sent away by Kuma's power, like if Kuma showed up right here in my bedroom, which I think would be kind of awkward because he's a really tall dude and this room is pretty small, so I'm imagining he would just break right through the ceiling. But if Kuma were to land in my room right now and be like, where would you like to go on vacation, Tekking? I'd be like, well, right now, given the current climate in the world, nowhere in particular, but I don't know, just send me to New Zealand, I guess. Pop. Now, New Zealand is pretty damn close to being on, like, right on the opposite end of the planet from where I am right now, okay? Like, it's not exactly there, but it's pretty close to just, like, the exact opposite side of the planet. So if it takes 3 days and 3 nights for me to get sent there, I mean, the speed would have to be pretty fast, you know, to travel all the way around the world at that rate, right? But let's say instead of saying an island on the other side of the planet, let's say I live in Pennsylvania, so let's say I want to get sent to Ohio, which is just one state over, okay? You know, would it still take me 3 days and 3 nights to reach Ohio? I would just travel at a slower pace. You know, is it 3 days, 3 nights no matter what? Or is it 3 days, 3 nights as like the maximum distance he can send you, right? I only bring this up because the distances that Kuma sent the Straw Hats individually were not the same. Like, Robin got sent all the way to Tequila Wolf, which was like in the northern part of the East Blue. Chopper got sent all the way down to the South Blue. Luffy, by comparison, the Sabaody Archipelago and Amazon Lily, they're not right next to each other, but, you know, it's closer than those other locations the Straw Hats got sent, and it's implied each of the Straw Hats all had the exact same 3-day, 3-night journey in Kuma's bubble. Alright, so it might adjust for the speed there. Regardless, the point is, it's not an immediate warping effect. It's not an immediate, like, Kuma's like, I will send you to Amazon Lily, Straw Hat. Pop! And then Luffy instantly ends up on Amazon Lily. It took days to travel there, okay? But other times on, like, the battlefield, it seems like Kuma can, like, pop around wherever he wants. So, in that regard, I would say it is pretty close to teleportation, but it's in a set area. You start going away from further spaces, and it takes longer. What about when he's warping himself? That's the question. Does he also limited to the 3-day, 3-night thing when he's traveling long distances himself? Or is it an instant warping with that? We're not sure exactly. But, yeah, that's more of a high-speed travel fruit, not really so much teleportation over long distances, okay? Which is what I was referring to. Then we have Blueno. Okay, so Blueno's is interesting because it's a pocket dimension fruit and it's also a teleportation fruit in a certain way. His is the door fruit. The door no mi, okay? So he can make doors wherever he wants, okay? He just goes up to a wall and touches it and boom, a door. Or he can lay flat against the door, against the wall, and somebody can push him and make a door. Or he can turn his opponent's heads into revolving doors, like we saw with Luffy, right? But probably his most notable ability that we've seen him use is his air door. And he used this on the Sea Train to sneak attack Sanji, and he also used this at Enies Lobby to avoid Luffy's Gear Second attacks, where Blueno opens a door seemingly out of just the air, like wherever he is, just air door, opens it up, jumps in, closes it, and we see him in this weird, trippy green space. Everything is green and wavy, and it goes like, which, to me, I feel like that would get annoying. Imagine that. You can create a pocket dimension wherever you are, and you can go in there, and it's just your own little space, but you constantly have to deal with the... Like, that would just get annoying, right? Well, anyway, this is teleportation. You are literally entering another space, okay? And seemingly at will. It's not instant because you can't just like snap your fingers. He literally has to like open the door first and then climb in and then shut the door. So it's not instant, but you know, it only takes a few seconds to do that or whatever. But does that allow you to teleport locations, like over a vast distance? So, and I think I know what happened here, but let me explain. Okay, so when he uses this against Luffy, let's talk about that first. He doesn't do anything really crazy. He goes in there to protect himself against Gear Second. And while he's in the air door dimension, he can still see everything that's going on in the outside world, which is actually very beneficial in battle, right? You can observe your enemy with, you know, invisibility, intangibility. They can't see you, they can't touch you. Luffy couldn't sense him or anything around him. Granted, Luffy didn't have observation haki at this point, but still, he was like in this other dimension, and he could still witness what Luffy was doing. So that gives time for Blueno to come up with a battle plan. He's like, okay, I'm gonna open a door behind him, and then turn his head into a door, and then I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna win, right? So in that case, he just opened the door, stayed in the pocket dimension, and then came back out again, right? And he just walked over to where Luffy was and then opened the door. On the Sea Train, remember the Sea Train gets separated. I think it was Frankie that like ripped the trains apart, right? And then it was like, yay, we saved Robin, we're gonna get away. And then the door opens up and then he's there. So that implies that on the part of the Sea Train on the Puffing Tom that was further ahead that had the engine, Blueno, you know, went into his air door dimension. Hold on, I'll get them back. ka-chick, and then goes in, shuts it, and then just opens the door where Sanji is further down the track. You know, it's like it was a teleportation thing in that regard. But from what we've seen, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just like he went into the air door dimension and then just used Geppo to jump over the water and then get to that location and then just surprise them by opening the door that way. Maybe he did that. But it seems to imply like he could just open a door at point A and then open another one at point B and connect the two independently. But I don't think if that's the case, but it might be. So if that's the case, I guess teleportation, I guess, is there a range on that? I don't know. Could he like travel to the South Blue and just instantaneously if he wanted to? I feel like he can't, but he might be able to, right? And then he also used this ability to save all the CP9 members after the Buster Call at Enies Lobby. He dragged them all into his air dimension, and then when the door was shut, all the destruction of Enies Lobby, they were able to endure it, and then they just walked out later. So it is a very handy fruit, even though the teleportation aspects are a little wonky, but it's kind of like that. Then we had Law. A lot of people are like, Matt, Law exists. What about Law? He can teleport. I'm like, yes, Law can teleport in a very set space, which doesn't constitute, like, when I think of teleportation, I think of teleportation. I think of, like, I want to be in Paris. Yay, I'm sipping some tea and having a croissant for breakfast in Paris. Oh, now it's getting to be lunchtime. I think I'll have some delicious steak in the middle of Texas. And then, boom, teleport to Texas and have a nice big steak. And now, ooh, it's getting to be dinner time. I would love to have dinner atop Tokyo, the Tokyo Tower in Japan. I don't know if I would be able to do any of this stuff right now in the world, but I could still teleport, you know, boom, and then there. That's what I think of teleporting. Law can only teleport within the confines of his room. And even though he can make very big rooms, like we've seen him make rooms about as big as a mountain, it's limited to that finite space. But yes, while he's in that space, he can teleport. Only if he's swapping with something else, though. Keep that in mind also. He can't freely teleport wherever he wants in the bubble. There has to be something there that he's, like, switching places with. Even if it's just rubble or snow or leaves or a tree branch or whatever. Kind of like the substitution jutsu in Naruto a little bit. Kind of like that. But he can't just freely warp wherever. He has to be switching places with another person or thing in order for that teleportation to work. But yes, if Law opens up a big enough room and, you know, when it comes to battle, it's extremely useful because it's really hard to hit him, but it doesn't give him freedom of teleportation. Now, if he's like trying to invade like a castle or something, like Kaido's, you know, mansion and Onigashima, or he's trying to get to the top of Onigashima, it makes it so he doesn't have to actually get all the way there. It's like, I need to get to the top of Onigashima. Well, all Law needs to do is get like halfway, and then when it's in room range and he opens up the room, he can just... and then done, he's instantly there. So it's very handy for like mountain climbing or infiltration or something. So it is teleportation, but just not freedom to warp anywhere he wants in the entire One Piece world. Unless Law, maybe this is possible, Barry, unless Law gets so powerful, bear with me for a moment here, he makes a room so big, it covers the entire planet. I don't think that's possible in One Piece, but I don't know if it's not impossible either. I don't think. If the way Law said this, like making the room that was the size of the flower field, like the mountain at Dressrosa, that was enough to shorten his lifespan a bit, I'm pretty sure trying to make a room the size of the planet would just... I'm pretty sure he would die before he even made it like a fraction of the way there, right? Okay, but anyway, maybe when he gets stronger, who knows what could happen, right? Alright, so that was Kuma, Law, and Blueno. Those were the big ones I got. But I also got some other pocket dimension teleportation fruits here. Let's talk about Blackbeard. Blackbeard kind of has it. I mean, his is a little bit more rough, though. His is not as refined as other teleportation abilities, okay? So he has the ability of darkness, the Yami Yami no Mi, and there is an ability called Black Hole that he has, where he literally just hits the ground, and then the black haze, the fog, you know, kind of encroaches around the area, and it literally sucks and drags everything in with the force of gravity. So in the case on Banaro Island, he used this for the entire town. So it sucked up the entire town, all of the, like, the horse and the carts and all the houses and everything get crushed and compressed under the gravity and get sucked into this void space. And then he has another ability called Liberation, which he just creates the black fog behind him, sort of like as a twister or like a tornado, and then all the stuff got sucked up, just boo, just get blown out like a freaking geyser, okay? But like I said, this is a lot more rough. So it's not like he sucks in the building and then the building comes out in immaculate condition. No, the things that are getting sucked into his dimension are getting crushed by gravity's force. All right, so when he liberates it, it literally comes out as just wreckage, as it's just getting crushed and damaged. So not the kind of thing where it's like, Burgess, come into my darkness dimension. You'll be safe there. No, your body, like, you'd be getting sucked into a black hole. Be like, woo-wee, all right, Captain, let's go. Oh, God! And it get crushed, and then gets, all right, come on out, Burgess, I choose you. Liberation! He comes out, he's just a pile of, like, his bones and just blood, and just like, that's not for storage. Not for storage. That's, like, an actual battle technique, but it is technically a pocket dimension, okay? Beiji. Beiji has the Shiro Shiro no Mi. He has the Castle Fruit. Love his ability. It literally makes his entire body a castle. And he can either choose to have that be on the inside, like a pocket dimension, like the inside of his literal body is a castle that even he can enter, his consciousness can enter, or he can activate, Big Father, which allows him to create the castle on the outside, okay? So that's a pretty cool one, and he's decorated it out like the way whatever way you want to decorate your castle, you can decorate it. He has pictures of himself and like a dining room table. He has a kitchen. I'm sure he has a pool, it's very fancy. It's a very nice castle, right? And so he can do that whenever he wants. That's a pretty cool one. Caribou. Caribou, along with Blackbeard, is a Logia, right? From what we understand anyway. And so Caribou's is kind of similar to Blackbeard's, except this one is a little bit better for storage than Blackbeard's is, because this doesn't get crushed by gravity. So Caribou has the Swamp Fruit, the Numa no Mi, and this allows him to drag things into the muck and the goo of his swamp, right? And this has been confirmed that he can even store living things inside of it. Sometimes I think they lose consciousness when they're inside of him for too long, but he can store people inside of him for a short period of time, I guess as long as they hold their breath and everything. He was able to store weapons and things like a Gatling gun inside of him. You'd think that storing a Gatling gun inside of a swamp would not be a good idea, because you get like slime and water in the gun and it'd be all mud and you wouldn't be able to fire it right. But no, when Caribou uses the ability, he pops the gun out of him and just uses the Gatling gun like it's brand new. So this ability is great for storage, so better than Blackbeard's, and it is a Logia, and I'm sure he has a bunch of stuff. It seems like an infinite swamp, the way that Caribou described it. He could store, ships in there, like anything he wants, as long as he makes the swamp big enough to drag it in, right? And he even tried to kidnap Shirahoshi that way, right? So, yeah, that's Caribou's ability. So, kind of pocket dimension. Can Caribou and Blackbeard enter their own dimensions if they wanted to? We know Beiji can, but I don't think those guys could. I don't think Caribou could enter his own swamp. He goes into it. Maybe he could just, like, look into it. Like, his face, like, goos into itself, and then he looks into the swamp, and he can see everything that he has stored, and he's like, all right, I have some of that, I have some of that. Oh, I need to pick up some more milk today. All right. All right, let's go to the grocery store. I have to store some more things in my swamp. So that's what Caribou can do. We have Blamenko. Blamenko, the 6th Division commander from Whitebeard's crew. In case you forgot who Blamenko was, he is such an integral character to this story. So Blamenko, we only see him briefly during Marineford. He's the 6th Division commander, the guy with the big blue overalls that's got the pink bear on it. And he has these chin pockets, is the best way I can describe them, where he reaches into the pockets and he pulls out giant mallets and things to like hit enemies with, okay? So he's kind of like Fat Chance from the Venture Brothers, if you know that character. I'm Fat Chance! Whereas instead of reaching into his duodenum to just pull out random stuff, Blamenko pulls into his chin pockets to pull out very specific stuff. I'm assuming it's probably going to legitimately be called the Pocket Fruit, and he makes pockets wherever he wants. He has the overalls, the Oshkosh Bagosh overalls. He can pull into those, and I'm pretty sure it allows him to either turn the pockets he has, like, pockets in your pants or whatever, and he can make that into a pocket universe, or he can add pockets to anywhere on his body that he wants for easy access. So that's why the pockets are on his chin. He can just like whoop, 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 just pull out anything he wants at any time. And it seems like he has perfect control over that. He's like, I'm going to store multiple things in the pockets, or maybe he can only store one thing in each pocket. Maybe that's a thing. Like a pocket, he has like infinite pockets as long as he has pockets on him, but only one thing per pocket. So he takes that giant mallet and like stores it in this pocket, and then takes a giant sword and stores it in that pocket, and like an emergency motorboat in case he has to get out of there, and stored in that pocket, and I don't know, a brick, because everybody needs to have a support brick, and just store that in another pocket and just pull that out whenever, right? It's kind of like that ability, right? So I like Blamenco, and that's a pretty cool ability to have, the pocket fruit, I'm assuming. And we don't know much more about him, but maybe we'll find out more in the future. I don't know. Then we have two members from the Charlotte family. We have Montdor, who has the book fruit. I'm just realizing, I've been making One Piece videos for a while. I'm pretty sure I've made an individual video on every single one of these devil fruits at some point. Kuma's, Law's, Bluenose, Montdor, the next person we're going to talk about, Brule. I've made a video about the mirror fruit. Caribou and Blackbeard. I've made devil fruit discussions about all of their fruits, except Blamenco. I haven't made a video about Blamenco specifically, so this is more of Blamenco's ability than anything, right? But anyway, yeah, so Montdor. Montdor, the Minister of Cheese in Tautland, has the ability of the book fruit. Now, this is kind of an interesting one because it kind of gives him two sort of different dimensions he gets to rule over, okay? He doesn't teleport, but what he does is he can either trap people in books, literally like a prison library of a book, like he traps you in the pages of a book, and from what we've seen, unless the book is physically destroyed by water or fire or something, you can't get out of the book. Luffy tried. Luffy almost ripped his damn arms off trying to get out of the book, and he just couldn't. Alright? So, Jinbei had to show up and, you know, light it on fire, and that, like, freed everybody in the books and stuff. But other than that, it's really hard to get out. So that's physically, like, a little dimension there. I'm imagining if he wanted to, it doesn't have to be a prison. He could also, like, this is my house book. And he opens up the book, and it's like a nice, like, villa on the side of the lake or whatever. And he can just go into that book and just live in the villa on the side of the lake, right? He could do that maybe if he wanted to. And then he has the other ability, which is not so much physically trapping people, but like, you know, psychologically, like a psychological mind prison, being trapped in the world of books, as he told it. So Luffy was trapped in this world of books where these weird, it was like basically like a bad trip, you know, where there's these, whoa, hey there, Luffy. These things are moving around, they're all wavy, and Luffy's like, what's going on? Ah, man, there was something weird in that meat. Oh, those crackers that Cracker had, man, those were weird. You know, there was something laced on those. I don't know what's going on here. So Luffy's attacking and stuff, but he's not actually trapped in this dimension. This isn't a real place. It pans out, and Luffy's literally just having a hallucination in this book world, but in reality, he's in the real world trying to fight against, you know, the other members of the crew, or the other members of, you know, Big Mom's crew and stuff, right? So that's kind of like two dimensions that Montdor has access to. I'm assuming Montdor could go into the book dimension if he wanted to, I guess, to chat with some fictional characters, maybe? I don't know, but that's what Montdor's abilities is. And then finally, the last person we have on here is Brule, Charlotte Brule, who has the power of the mirror fruit. This is another one that kind of, okay, so I guess it's not really teleportation. It's teleportation into the mirror dimension whenever you want. If you're the user of this fruit, I think it's implied you can just make a mirror to go into the mirror dimension whenever you see fit. If you're somebody else, you have to be like, you have to literally jump through the mirror in order to get into the mirror world, okay? But when you're in the mirror world, you have access to all these other mirrors, and we don't know what the range is on this. I'm going to assume the range is all of Tautland, but could it be more than that? Could it extend to the rest of the world? I always assumed, like, in order for this fruit to work, the user of the mirror fruit has to physically touch the mirror to turn it into a portal first. Okay, and then they still have to travel through the mirror world to get there. So all the mirrors of Tautland were connected previously by Brule. So when you go into the mirror world, there's mirrors everywhere, and you can pop out anywhere on any of the islands of Tautland, okay? But it's not teleportation, because you physically have to, like, jump into the mirror world, and then let's say you want to go over to that island, you have to physically run through the mirror world. Now, you're not limited by any real-world, like, limitations. Like, you don't have to worry about the ocean or mountains or anything like that. You just jump into the mirror world and then run through it, and then boom, you just pop out into the next mirror whenever you want. But it's still, you have to travel. You have to physically go through the mirror dimension, right? And then maybe if she, you know, touched or accessed a mirror in, like, another part of the world, like the North Blue, that is also a portal, but you would still have to walk physically from wherever you popped it. Let's say you're in the mirror world in Tautland and you want to go to a mirror in North Blue. You can do that, but you'd have to walk hundreds of miles through the mirror world to get to that portal. I think that's what the premise of the ability is, because I don't think Brule, even with the user of the fruit, the master of the ability, I don't think she can just like snap her fingers and then just jump through a mirror and pop out anywhere she wants in all of Totland. It's just the mirror world first, and then through that is a conduit, like a hub space where she could go everywhere else she wants, right? So more pocket dimension and everything, but Brule did have a house in the mirror dimension, so you could set up space in there too, and you have the ability to keep tabs on everything going on in Totland. So it was a very useful fruit. Both Montor's book fruit and Brule's mirror fruit really helped out, like the espionage and like the connections of Totland and everything, right? So, yeah, those are all of the characters I have for you today. Those are all the 8 characters that I had really prominent teleportation or pocket dimension fruits. Actually, wait, no, 9 people, because Beiji. I actually forgot to put Beiji down on this list, but then I just remembered him just now. No, he had the ability to turn into a castle. That's a pocket dimension, definitely. So there might be other fruits I might be, misremembering right now that, might have this similar kind of fruit or whatever. So let me know down below if you find anything like that. But yeah, which is your favorite teleportation / warping / pocket dimension fruit? If I would probably pick one, I would probably say, I've always liked the mirror fruit idea. In fact, that was my OC devil fruit concept way back when I started watching One Piece. Like, when I started watching One Piece and devil fruits, I came up with my own devil fruit, and I came up with the mirror fruit. And the ability was pretty similar to what Brule can do with hers, right? And so I was kind of pissed when Brule was finally revealed in the story. Like, that was mine! I came up with that in, like, 2006, Oda! He might have come up with it earlier than that, but that was my OC devil fruit idea. So I have a soft spot for the mirror fruit. Kind of like how Sanji wanted, the invisibility fruit, the clear fruit, and then he found out that Absalom had it. Like, how that went there. But Montor's book fruit is cool. Flamenco's pocket fruit would be cool. Probably Beiji or Brule though. I would probably go more maybe with Beiji, just because you have the giant castle. And this is it's not an infinite space, but it's still pretty damn big, and you can kind of arrange the furniture whenever you want, and you can go in there whenever you want. So I think the castle fruit is pretty damn cool. I would probably go with that with my favorite out of these teleportation ones. I like Law's fruit probably the most out of all devil fruits, the Oppi Oppi no Mi. If you were going to ask me what is like my absolute favorite devil fruit, probably the Oppi Oppi no Mi. But in terms of this one aspect, I'd probably say I'd like Beiji's or Brule's more. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Remember to check out the Teespring store down below where you can get yourself a Barry the Brick plushie. Thanks for supporting the channel, everybody. This will be Tekking and Barry signing out. Later, everyone. Teleporting out! Bye. Still need to use doors.